All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking about real music in real time for a few real people out there just like you and just like me. I've been listening to this song called Made for More by Josh Baldwin. Such a good song. Go listen to that song if you have a chance. Also, Sawyer Brown. Look, I get it. You might not be a country fan. These guys got their start on Star Search. Ed McMahon. This is their new album, Desperado Troubadours, celebrating 40 years of great music. Again, even if you're not a country fan, you've got to appreciate the fact that these guys sound exactly the way they did back 40 years ago when Ed McMahon probably said yes. And they became, you know, Sawyer Brown, the country band with a 40-year career. So that's really good. You know what's not really good? Finding out that Wolfgang Van Halen is just all about Dave Grohl. Dave Grohl, my favorite character in the music business. So Wolfie admits that he's just following in the footsteps of Dave Grohl. And he says, I'm basically ripping off Dave Grohl with Mammoth. So he got his name for the band, right? Mammoth from his dad and what Van Halen almost called themselves, or they did call themselves right at the very beginning, Mammoth, but they smartly changed their name to Van Halen. I always say this, Wolfie, being who he is, right? And his certain characteristics that he has, and I'm trying to tread lightly here. Let me just be blunt here. Wolfie looks a certain way, right? He's got a certain look. And to call the band Mammoth, I think is just, it's, I mean, I would have ran that by a few people before I decided to just charge ahead and say, yes, this is dedicated to my dad. And so I'm going to call it Mammoth. And the other thing is, a lot of people call him out on this stuff on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. And they say, if you really wanted to, distance yourself from your dad, like he's always saying, why did you name the band Mammoth? That doesn't make any sense. And so when stuff doesn't make sense, I tend to talk about it here because, again, another super slow day in the world of music, classic rock, geezer rock. And even though Wolfie isn't really geezer rock, I figured I would talk about this because he's telling the world that he's ripping off Dave Grohl. That's and nobody really cares, right? So he went on a podcast and he talked about his wish to collaborate with Miles Kennedy one day, and then went on to share his admiration for Dave Grohl. And again, this is what he said on the podcast. I'm basically ripping him off with Mammoth in the way that he started with Foo Fighters, recording everything himself. Mammoth exists because of him. The Rockers fans also noticed, and this happened way back in 2021. I think when he released the first song called Don't Back Down, and everybody was all, ooh, that's a great song. It's a pretty good song, right? I didn't hate it, I think is what I said at the time. Or I said, hey, this sounds like 90s music to me. And sure enough, people were saying, sounds like Foo Fighters. The singer responded by saying, thank you. Another fan added, I mean, Dave Grohl sang every note, played every instrument on the first Foo Fighters album. Wolfie sang every note, played every instrument on the Mammoth WVH album. He kind of has a point. Wolfgang replied again, oh man, I'm honored by the comparison. I'm just making fun of the grammar. Because the guy wrote, sounds Foo Fighter. And he just wrote, thank. I don't know, man. Social media is not a place where you can accurately convey your feelings because you're just typing stuff and people don't know exactly how you feel. But I guess, if you like Foo Fighters, right? Or Foo Fighter, as the fan said, then you'll like Mammoth. But I just, again, he's admitting he's just ripping someone else off. It's the way he did it. It's the way I do it. And yes, the sound, the fans caught that. Kind of sounds like the Foo Fighters. Again, I'm not a Foo Fighters fan, and that's my problem more than anyone else's problem. I sense, that the music scene has permanently shifted, and the Foo Fighters were helpful in bringing that shift along. So it doesn't have any sentimental value for me to reminisce about the Foo Fighters and all that stuff. And Dave Grohl, who's the king of rock and roll these days, he's just everywhere. Everyone loves Dave Grohl. I need to embrace Dave Grohl, and I need help. I need people to, maybe patrons, people buying me coffee, and that you could suggest, hey, this is how you can like Dave Grohl. And I'll do a video about how I'm going to like Dave Grohl. Anyway, I like this band, Sawyer Brown. Yeah, I promote old music. What can I say? Although this is a brand new album by a classic band, okay? Country, the way it used to be done. Desperado Troubadours. You can be a Desperado Troubadour as well. Well, I don't know. Listen to the album, and you can become a Desperado Troubadour. Or you can subscribe to my channel and become a Desperado Dave Troubadour. And thanks for all the support last month. We, of course, always lose a few folks when the calendar changes. So if you've thought about helping the channel, there's Patreon, there's also YouTube memberships, and the aforementioned Buy Me a Coffee function. And as I close out here, folks, I'm looking across college campuses, not literally, but figuratively here, and I'm praying for peace. I'm praying for sanity. Country right now is just going crazy, and so I follow Jesus. He is the Prince of Peace, and I'm not ashamed to say that, right? Jesus would say, hey, put those rocks down and try to get along with each other. And I'm sure he would have devised a solution by now, but you can't just like tweet law and order and expect law and order to happen. It just doesn't happen by thinking it into existence. People have to take action to foster a peaceful resolution to problems, whether they're in the Middle East, whether they're here at home, whether they're in Ukraine. There has to be a way. And the world is just getting crazier by the day. So pray for peace. If you don't pray, think about it. Try to think it into existence. I don't know. But praying is helpful. Like I always say, prayer doesn't always change things, but it often changes you for things. So I stole that, much like Wolfie stole his music from Dave Grohl. So there you have it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you soon.